In another world not too far away from ours, there is a place called Roblox. It's a place where people go to be whoever they want to be, do whatever they want to do. But one Roblox player named Block-Eating Buffman was about to find out that life wasn't always so easy. Because as he was walking through his favorite game, he suddenly got sucked up in a huge portal, along with a large block of cheese. He came to a quick stop when he landed face first in some dirt. He looked around to see nothing but grass, trees, and an ominous black hole in the sky. As he stood up, he heard some nearby footsteps and turned to see a very familiar-looking guy with a full set of diamond armor. But then he also noticed that said guy was carrying a suspiciously large pickaxe, so it hit him. He had just been teleported into the world of Minecraft. But before our hero could even think of a plan to get back home, two figures appeared behind him. One of them was a girl who seemed pretty surprised by his sudden appearance, while the other was a skeleton wearing a purple hoodie. The skeleton threw its arms up in the air and yelled, "It's a noob!" and then started to float towards Block-Eating Buffet Man. But luckily, our hero was a pro at this whole fighting thing, thanks to a decade's worth of experience in Roblox games. All it took was one swift kick to the face to send the skeleton flying backwards. The purple hooded figure slowly floated back down to the ground, revealing himself to be none other than Steve. He looked down at his hands in disbelief and asked, "Am I dreaming?" Before anyone could answer, the girl next to him, who we'll call Alex, facepalmed. She explained that this was actually the third time this week someone had gotten sucked into their world through that portal. But Steve didn't seem to care, because he was still staring in disbelief at the large blocks being pulled from the ground by the mysterious newcomer. "What's your name?" Steve asked. Block-Eating Buffman replied. "Block-Eating Buffman. Cool name," Steve said. "I'm Steve, and this is Alex." "Nice to meet you both," Block-Eating Buffet Man said politely. But suddenly, the friendly smile was wiped off his face. "Wait a minute. How am I supposed to get home?" "Uh-oh," Alex said. "We don't really know how the portal works. It only appears once every few weeks, and it disappears after 48 hours. So if you want to get back home, you got to make it work for you." At this point, Block-Eating Buffet Man was starting to panic. He had to get home. He had chickens to feed, beds to sleep in, and emotes to dance with. But unfortunately, the longer he stayed in this world, the more dangerous things were going to become. Luckily, Steve seemed to have read his mind because he soon suggested that they should probably head over to his house. It was close by, and they could use his spare bed for Block-Eating Buffman to sleep in. As they made the journey over to Steve's house, Block-Eating Buffman couldn't help but stare in awe at everything he was seeing.
Ow!
There were wolves, creepers, cows, a massive mountain, and even an end portal. At this point, Alex couldn't help but feel bad for the poor guy. "Look," she said, "if you hurry up and find a way to fix the portal, maybe we can even show you the rest of the overworld." "Really? That would be awesome," Block-Eating Buffman replied. They finally arrived at Steve's house, which was actually pretty impressive. There were iron bars on the windows, a cobblestone path leading up to the door, and a small garden in front. Steve opened up the door and ushered everyone inside. "Make yourself comfortable," he said, gesturing to one of the beds in the corner. But Block-Eating Buffet Man didn't need to be told twice. He plopped down onto the bed and sighed in relief. Meanwhile, Steve and Alex started talking about how they should fix the portal. "We could try and use some command blocks," Alex suggested, "but I'm not sure if that would even work." "Well, we don't have much of a choice," Steve said, "unless you want to stay here forever." Just then, Block-Eating Buffet Man sat up. "You guys wouldn't happen to have any of those command blocks lying around, would you?" "Actually, I think I do," Steve said. He went over to his crafting table and pulled out a stack of command blocks. "Here you go," he said. Block-Eating Buffman wasted no time getting to work. He quickly placed the command blocks down in front of him and started typing away furiously. After a few moments, he hit enter, and the command block flashed. Portal appeared in front of him. "Yes," Block-Eating Buffman exclaimed. "It worked." He turned to thank Steve and Alex, but they were nowhere to be seen. "Huh," he said, confused. Just then, a creeper snuck up behind him and yelled, "Creep."
Ow!
Block-Eating Buffman yelped in surprise and backed up, accidentally falling into the portal. The portal flashed and Block-Eating Buffman found himself back in his own world. He quickly ran over to his computer and typed in the coordinates to Steve's house. He figured he should at least say goodbye. When he arrived, though, he found Steve and Alex waiting outside with some wood and a pickaxe. "Wait, you guys came with me," Block-Eating Buff Man said. "Yeah," Steve replied. "We fixed the portal so we could come visit you." "Oh," Block-Eating Buff Man said, embarrassed. "I thought you guys weren't coming." "Of course we did," Alex said with a smile. "We're your friends now." Just then, a horde of zombies spawned in the distance. They were shambling towards the group, their eyes glowing an eerie green. "Ugh," Alex groaned. "Not again." Steve grabbed his diamond sword and charged forward, yelling, "Take this, you filthy animals!" Block-Eating Buff Man was surprised by this sudden change in tone. Was this the real Steve? Was he always this cool? Block-Eating Buff Man thought to himself. Maybe this world wasn't so bad after all? The three of them fought side by side, taking down zombies left and right. Steve's sword flashed in the sunlight as he hacked and slashed, while Alex used her bow and arrow to take out the more distant enemies. Meanwhile, Block-Eating Buff Man was a bit out of his element. He had never used a real weapon before, but luckily his years of playing FPS games had helped. Aiming the wooden pickaxe, he swung it at a nearby zombie, knocking it back a few feet. It let out a pained moan before collapsing to the ground. After the battle, Steve sheathed his sword and smiled at his new friend. "See," he said, "I told you you'd fit right in." "Yeah," Block-Eating Buff Man replied, blushing. "This world isn't so bad." Just then, Alex walked over and handed him a piece of steak. "Here," she said, "you look like you could use a good meal." Block-Eating Buff Man took the steak and bit into it. It was cooked to perfection and tasted better than anything he'd ever eaten before. The three of them sat together in silence for a moment, enjoying the peace and quiet. Finally, Block-Eating Buffet Man spoke up. "So," he said, "where do we go from here?" Steve smiled. He said, "This is just the beginning of your adventure." The camera panned out as the three heroes stood together against the sunset, ready to take on whatever the world had to throw at them. The screen faded to black as the sound of distant zombies could be heard. Then, in the end credits, we learned that Block-Eating Buffet Man had somehow brought his inventory with him to Steve's world, which is why he had such high-quality gear despite being a newbie. We also learned that this was only the first episode of many. The screen faded to black again, and the words "to be continued" appeared, and that's where we'll leave off for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Have a good night.